I knew nothing about business. I knew nothing about what to expect or how people behaved. And it was almost like a scientific process to learn.
For founders or for companies raising money, what's the common mistakes that you've seen?
Lots.
I'm Ashley Tate. Welcome to Founders Unfiltered, What It Takes, the podcast where we talk to founders about what it takes to build a successful business. Today I'm joined by Andy Evans. Me and Andy met about a year ago, and since then we founded Sheffield Angels. But Andy has a really interesting story to tell, so I thought you'd get him on the podcast for him to share his journey. So
Thank you very much.
welcome.
Yeah.
Andy, so tell us, what do you do today, and what's the story that led to where you are today?
Okay, so I'm an exited entrepreneur. I'm also an investor in startups and also a writer of children's books as well. So quite a diverse array of things at the moment.
Excellent. And how far back do we need to go to understand what led to this point?
Yes, quite a way back. I did a PhD in software engineering, and actually lectured at Sheffield at York University for a few years, and realized that it was very interesting what I was doing, but actually wasn't making much of an impact on the world. So I thought I need to do something new. I didn't want to work for anybody else, being a sort of creative person. So I actually decided to set up a business, which in hindsight was slightly crazy because I didn't know anything about setting up a business at all. And obviously, you come from an academic background, you're focused on grants and on research and things like that. I didn't have a clue about cash flow or raising money or anything like that. So I guess if I'd known how challenging it was going to be, I probably should have stayed in academia. But now that I've done it, I'm happy I've done it.
But I think that's pretty common response from anybody that started a business.
Yes.
Isn't it? That if you know how hard it's going to be, you wouldn't do it.
Absolutely.
So was there a moment then that you thought, or was there something that happened that made you think, right, I've got to do this, I've got to start this business?
Yeah, I think I always knew that I wanted to create something. And when I was at York University, we did a lot of collaboration with large firms like BAE Systems and British Telecom. And I really enjoyed that. I really thought, this is really interesting because what we're doing has an impact. People are actually using this thing that we were working on. And I thought, I want to do more of that, definitely. And so what we did was we started off, we're very lucky we got some funding from one of our large customers to build a product. And I've always wanted to build a product. I've always wanted to build something that actually people use, and you can say, actually, that's my product. So we started on that path. In hindsight, it was a very academic product. We didn't realize that it was very, very niche, and because of that, the scope to sell it further wasn't great. So, but it set us on the course. We actually set up this company called Exactium. We had some offices. We had a bit of money to get going. And once I kind of got the taste for that, I thought, basically, we had a mantra that failure is not an option. Whatever it takes, we're going to make this happen. And so after, actually took a while for us to kind of find our feet, to start thinking like a business. And after a while, we actually realized, well, we need another product. We need something that we can sell more widely. And at that point, we were almost down to our last few £100 of money. So it would have been very, very easy to just give up at that point, I think.
Yes.
And maybe to go back to academia, where, it's a safe, secure job. But I just thought, no, we've got to make this happen somehow. And very luckily, I was involved with doing some work with Salesforce. And we also had some existing clients who wanted a product, which I can talk a bit more about later on. And at that point, we just thought, right, we've got to go for it. And we started building out this product. And very luckily, we persuaded one or two of these customers to actually buy it. And they didn't spend very much money because we were very small, but they actually bought it. And that really was the start of that journey, I think.
So going back to when you started at Exactium, you say we.
Yes.
Who else was involved?
Well, I did have a founder. We did. There was another founder involved, and it was very challenging because the focus of the other founder was very much more academic. So that was quite a difficult period because I think we both realised we wanted different things.
Yeah.
So we parted ways. And actually, as you know, having a founder is very, very important, or somebody that you can, just talk to about the challenges that you face. And actually, my wife, Sheila, became almost like co-founder because she actually has a better business brain than I have, I think. And we actually work very closely together increasingly as the business grew. And she kind of gave that support and feedback that was absolutely essential at that point. So yeah, we essentially grew the business that way. But yeah, it's you need somebody to speak to. You need somebody who you can share all these problems with, and just brainstorm solutions. And that was definitely there for me.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, I think it sounds like you're very lucky there, because I think I certainly don't think I could go into business with my wife. I don't think we'd be married for much longer.
Yeah.
And you talked about having money.
Mm.
Where did that come from?
So initially we had some money it was a big project, almost like a consultancy project. And then we did go and raise money. We went and raised, there wasn't the networks that we have today at all. We basically posted on a group, an angel group, UK Angels group. We got some people involved from that. We got a loan from HSBC and a grant, which again, very hard to get these days. And actually Business Link, remember Business Link?
Business Link, yes.
Yeah, they were involved as well. So all of those kind of came together and we raised some money. And we kind of built the business using that, but we quite quickly burnt through that business. And that's where this sort of academic focus, we were too academic focused, and we didn't realize that what we needed to do most of all was go and find customers rather than actually building, rather than just building a product we thought people wanted. And that was the sort of big mistake we made initially.
Yes. And I think that's really good point, because we see lots of startups, and I think lots of them are in that phase of building a product with no customers.
Yes. But it is hard. You've got to show somebody, you've got to show something. So you need to build something, I think. But investing a lot of money in it, I think, is a big mistake.
So in terms of building something, what would you say is enough, or what became enough in Exactium?
I think what we did, and this was very early days for Salesforce, was they released some new tools called Force.com, which basically allowed you to build an app without using code.
AI before AI.
Yes, that's right. Absolutely. So what essentially we did, we used Salesforce. Force.com had been released. It was a bit of Wild West days with Salesforce. It was building huge momentum. And essentially what we did, or in fact what I did over the weekend, was built a prototype of this solution. And the solution we built, and I'm really not sure why we ended up doing this, was actually a risk management product for tracking risks and controls and incidents in a business. And it was something one of our customers had mentioned in our previous consultancy work. And I just essentially knocked this up over the weekend. But because Salesforce has everything else underneath it, it has all of the infrastructure. You can add users. You can connect it to email. It had all of that essential business features underneath. We almost had like a real product, but within a few days. And then it was a process of just going out and talking to customers and showing them this. And we were very lucky at that time. A lot of risk management software was on premise. It was very, very clunky. And they were kind of amazed. Wow, this looks really modern. And I can, not only that, but we were able to show people changing it in front of them. So they wanted additional fields or additional reports. Again, because it was a very agile platform, we were able to configure it very quickly for their needs.
Yes.
And that was a real revolution to them. And in fact, still is actually.
Yeah.
And that was enough just to get enough buy-in. And I will always remember we were speaking to this huge organization, global organization. We got to know one of the risk managers really well. And he took a real punt on us. He didn't, he knew that we were basically about 4 or 5 people in this tiny office in Sheffield. But somehow he kept the faith, and he said, right, I'm going to buy this software from you. I'm not going to spend very much money on it, but I'm going to buy it off you because I really believe you guys want to make this a success, and you've got a solution that is going to be a real benefit to our business. And that really was the start of it, because once we had that name, we could go to other customers, potential customers, and say, well, this large organization has bought our product now. Are you interested?
Yes.
And slowly we're able to get that networking effect going.
So you use the credibility of your customer to build your own credibility.
And certainly in risk management, you need that credibility, or certainly in enterprise sales, you need that first initial customer. Even if they pay you almost nothing, it doesn't matter, because the credibility is the key thing.
Yes.
And obviously delivering successfully to them was absolutely essential as well, which we did. But in fact, it was so successful. He actually joined us later on.
Oh, really? Okay. As part of the team.
And became part of the team. So that was fantastic. And he did it. He stayed with us the whole way through afterwards. He's a brilliant guy.
Yeah. So, and that journey of building executive, how long? What period was that? Was that over?
It was. I think it took us a while to find our niche, and then the financial crash hit.
Okay.
So it was
2008.
2008. That was a challenging couple of years, but I'd say about 2010 we started getting some traction, and we decided we wanted to grow organically. And I think this is an interesting debate. Do you bring in more investment and then grow faster? Or do you, reduce your dependence on investment and just try and make money? And that's what we said. We just want to see if we can become profitable, however tight the margins are, and just grow that way. And that's what we did. I mean, we still had our original investors, and I'll talk about them in a minute, because they were absolutely crucial to the success of the business. But we said, we're going to keep growing. We're going to add some more customers, bring the staff in that we absolutely need at that point, bring in some more customers, bring in a few more people, but always keep it as tight as we could. So that meant we grew steadily. It took us about 10 years to get to a really decent size. particularly in that industry, because a lot of it, there's a lot of very other big competitors. But by 2019, we were probably the leading risk management platform, certainly in the UK, for regulated industries, so financial services, or insurance, those sorts of areas. And we'd won some really big clients, people like Direct Line. We were also doing project risk management, so we're working with HS2. And the FCA, the Financial Conduct Authority, used our platform to manage risk within the FCA, which was a massive, massive checkbox for any company in the financial services sector. So, and I'm really proud of that journey, because we just, built our way step by step up to that point. And with a great team of people as well, really good team of people.
And I think this is a lot of stories like your story are not the ones that make the headlines.
Exactly.
Because they're slow.
Yes.
And I think that we've got a problem to some degree, that every business thinks they have to go from 0 to 10 million as fast as they possibly can.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And
I think if you can, there's so much value in building a business up incrementally. If you can get to 1 million, that's a huge step. If you can get to 1, you can get to 2. If you can get to 2, you can get to 5.
Yes.
When you get to 5, you can get to 10. As long as you keep just thinking carefully about what is our next step, how can we build on that. And I do, I actually wish there were a lot more companies like that, because I think they have a lot of sustainability about them.
Yes.
And a lot of value as well. So yeah, that's it was exciting as well. Some of these, winning some of these big clients was fantastic. And at one point, you're walking around the city in London and going, "That's a customer of ours. That's a customer of ours. That's a customer of ours." And that was amazing.
Nice. So you mentioned a few minutes ago about the investors.
Yes.
So what was your relationship?
Yeah. So we had about 10 angel investors, and some of those just put money in, and that was it. They didn't want to get particularly involved. And then we had a core of them, about 3 or 4, who just were really amazing people. They gave their time freely, their advice. One of them joined as the chairman, and they were just always there, and however painful things became or challenging they were always there to listen, and they always there to provide advice as well. And one of the things we did was we actually set up an advisory committee, not of our investors, but also other people that were keen to help. And we met with them monthly, sometimes quarterly. But the advice they gave was so essential to our growth. Because again, always remember, my background is very academic. I knew nothing about business. I knew nothing about what to expect or how people behaved. And it was almost like a scientific process to learn those things, because I'm not naturally a business person. I'm more scientific, more focused on process and things like that, really. So for them to come along and to say, well, yeah, that's exactly how I'd expect a customer to behave, or sales is really hard. Why are they not buying, or why are they not signing this contract? It's because they're busy, all these obvious things that you just don't understand at all. And they were there to provide that advice and support. And I hope that they felt we really valued that, because I think that is absolutely essential. If you've got investors that are willing to give up their time, they weren't just doing it for the money. They did it because they wanted to. And it was very important to us that they saw that we valued their input. And I think that's why they stuck around.
Yes.
Right to the end.
Yeah. Good.
Yes.
Well, maybe this is a good sort of segue then. So, Exactium, you sold that business?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, we were acquired a week before lockdown.
Okay.
Yes,
Potentially very good timing then.
it was interesting timing. It was a very hard decision to sell, actually, because we also decided to make it very much a family ethos of a business. And in fact, another important thing for us was values. So we're a very value-driven business. So we'd been approached essentially by this very large US competitor for over, must have been 18 months or so. So it was a very hard decision to sell. The company was getting to a size which it was becoming, I think it really, either needed to grow significantly into another country like the US or Europe, or we couldn't stay where we were essentially. But I didn't think I had the motivation to be flying to the States all the time, and family was also very important. So it was a difficult decision to make, and it was it was obviously a real shock for our staff as well, because like on the Monday we had to tell everybody we'd been bought. On the Tuesdays, these Americans turned up essentially with their Stetsons on their heads, saying, "Hey, we're the new owners of Exactium." So that was another shock. And then on the Friday, we locked down. So
wow. Okay.
so
COVID. Yeah.
So that was a huge shock for everybody, I think. And then of course we couldn't meet afterwards. So I stayed with the business for a year, and we actually didn't physically meet up again. So it was a difficult time, but in hindsight, it was the right decision, because it was at a point, I was very, very stressed dealing with the size of the business at that point. So I think it was the right decision.
Yes. And in that year that followed, then you stuck with the business, and you said that you had very strong values in the business.
Yes.
Did that change? And how did
I think the only reason we sold is because we actually saw that the company that was going to buy us had their own really strong values as well. It was a risk, but actually it turned out, I think, that they were a good fit. And in fact, quite a few of our staff are still with that company. And the other nice thing is that the product we built has been rolled out globally now. So that's, I think that was successful from that point. And also our staff, some of them have gone on to really high, significant positions within the business as well, within global business. So I feel pleased about that, definitely. But it was a big change.
Well, it sounds like you knew the moment, because I think, as the saying, what got you here won't get you there.
Yes.
And I hear stories, and I've seen stories. I've seen businesses grow to a certain level, and the founders or the management team think they can take it to the next level.
Yes.
And it fails, and
Yes.
they lose the business.
Yeah.
And
I think that would have been the situation. Or it would have needed a very different management team. And at that point, I would have had to step back. And that, to me, wasn't why I built the company. I built the company because I wanted not to be, beholden to anybody in a way.
Yes.
Wanted to be leading something and driving something forward. And I think at that point, it would not have felt like our business anymore.
Yes.
So it was a kind of a choice between those: bring in a new management team and expand globally, or sell at that point. And I think the selling was the right decision, but a difficult one.
So you're free from Exactium.
Yes.
Then what happens?
Complete shock. I mean, it's obviously very, very happy to have sold the business. Very fortunate as well, to have sold the business. But I think maybe you don't realize this unless you do it. It's a massive shock to the system because you go from running 1,000 miles an hour and being in control of things to suddenly it all disappears, and you're left thinking, wow, what's the point of my existence if I'm not, doing this anymore? And that was quite a difficult adjustment, actually. It took me a couple of years to make that transition, I think.
Yeah, I don't think you're alone in that.
No, and I shouldn't complain about it because I'm very lucky, but it was difficult. And but then what I realized, I had to think, what do I want to do now? Do I want to start the whole process again? And at that time, I just thought, I'm not burnt out, but just, would I have the energy to go through the whole thing again? Because I didn't need to. And I know some entrepreneurs, they kind of sell the business and that's right, next one. I just thought, I take my hat off to you
I'm
for
about to
doing
do that, yeah. So maybe I've
You
forgotten
know.
the pain.
That's right.
Yeah.
Maybe maybe you forget the pain. But so yeah, at that point, I just thought, well, I want to stay active. I want to be involved in new businesses, and it was kind of a natural progression to start doing investment. So what we did was we set up a family investment office called Mandashi, with my son as well. And over the last 4 years, we've been investing in startups with the aim of trying to make a positive difference. So the aim is to invest in companies that we feel, make a positive difference to the world, but also to our local community as well, because Sheffield, has been a fantastic city for us. And we wanted to try and encourage, do what our angels did for us,
Yes.
but for other companies, and especially if they were in Sheffield. So that's what we've been doing. We've invested in about 20 companies, many local, companies like Forgeor, for example, based, and I've learned a huge amount in that process, actually.
Yes.
Just about how to help startups grow. And yeah, really enjoyed it. I mean, it has its challenges again. You don't have the same level of control as you do if it's your own business. But it's felt a really, really positive and good thing to do, particularly for Sheffield.
Yes. And we met now about a year ago, and you started Mandashi, you were investing in Sheffield.
Yeah.
It was kind of coincidence, actually, wasn't it? Because I was
Yes.
not meant to be at the event that you were at.
Yes, that's right.
Standing
Yes.
under somebody.
Yes.
So good coincidence that we ended up bumping into each other on that day. You were a member of Cambridge Angels.
That's right. Yes. So a couple of years ago, I joined Cambridge Angels. And that's an amazing network. If you don't know about them, there's about 60 angels in that group. And they invest in Cambridge area, London, and more widely as well. But what they've done is they've built this amazing ecosystem around them. There's, the number of companies that they've been actively involved with, and they've actually helped grow is fantastic. And not only that, a lot of the members do things like mentoring as well. So they try and support a very early stage growth in Cambridge. And they also network with lots of other investment groups as well, and networking groups. So they built this real ecosystem. And I went to a lot of their events, did some investments through them as well. And when we got together, we're talking about this, it was almost like, well, wouldn't it be amazing if we could do something similar up in Sheffield? Because Sheffield, I think, has this really vibrant startup ecosystem now. but there isn't one group that is really trying to knit all of that together. There's lots of different initiatives. There's lots of short-term funding. There's lots of accelerators, which are all brilliant. But what you see with Cambridge is you've got something that has that longevity to actually really knit a number of different groups and people and networks together. And I think that was really the sort of foundation, the goal of Sheffield Angels that we talked about.
Yes, and we're a year in Sheffield Angels now, and again, I think I sometimes think of how we started Sheffield Angels, and we started it like a startup, really.
We did.
Well, let's give this a go.
Yes.
Our first customers were our members.
Yes.
And we had a dinner where me, you, and only 2 other people turned up.
That's right.
Yeah. And it seems to go pretty well.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
And now...
Yeah, we're doing really well. I think we've got a great group of angels. We've done some initial investments. We're starting to build a network out as well, like with the university, with different investment teams as well. And yeah, it's really starting to gather momentum, and I'm just really excited about the future of it. I think if we can build a really strong and diverse group of investors and then knit all of these different groups together within Sheffield, I think Sheffield's got so much potential, absolutely huge potential. If you look at the people coming out of the universities, the research they're doing there, you've got the engineering and manufacturing background of Sheffield as well, the grit, the good beer, there's all of these combinations of things that I think would be fantastic to see if we could help that grow over the next many years, hopefully.
Absolutely. And the thing, obviously we live in Sheffield, so maybe we're biased, right? But it does not get a good reputation for being entrepreneurial. I think the UK as a whole doesn't get a good reputation.
No.
But Sheffield, there's very few stories that hit the headlines, but there are so many incredibly successful companies here.
There are.
That become worth hundreds of millions.
Yes.
That started in Sheffield, and they're still in Sheffield.
Yes. And I think this is a fundamentally important thing for the future of the country at the moment, because obviously we're at this point where there's a lot of negativity going on. And I think rather than trying to exacerbate that negativity, we all need to be thinking, how can we build positive and valuable businesses and networks that just help us grow out of the challenges that we've got, and we saw that with Exactum. We employed a really good number of local people, and software salaries are just way beyond typical salaries. So we're really contributing to the local economy, where we're using local businesses as well, as a network effect, a halo effect of that as well. So I really believe that if we can become more entrepreneurial, more creative, and build, these businesses up, I think that will make a big difference to the wealth of the country. Really, I think that's really, really important.
Absolutely. And together we've co-founded Sheffield Angels, and one of the things that we were talking about on the way here actually was, how do we get more members? How do we get more angels?
Yes.
And I think maybe there's myths, or maybe there's bad news and good. I suppose, what question am I trying to ask here? Like, tell us about what life is like being an angel investor.
Yes, exciting. Yeah, I mean, it's a totally different. It's very different to being an entrepreneur, but what you're doing is you're utilizing the knowledge that you built as an entrepreneur as well, and just trying to network and create an understanding of what's going on in terms of new startups and so on is an important part of it. Initially, it's just getting to grips with the community, and that's why being part of an angel group is actually really helpful, because you're actually networking with people who've got those connections already, and that's an important part of Sheffield Angels. And then the other part of it is, it's just really exciting getting involved in new startups, because you can see them going through all the same stages that you did. And again, just providing that positive feedback and saying to, founders, yes, this is just par for the course, that is just difficult, or have you thought about doing things that way or this way? And actually, it's just seeing the value, hopefully, of what the advice you give, and obviously providing them with the funds to take those first steps is really exciting. It's really inspiring. It's not all plain sailing, as you know.
Absolutely not.
If you invest, you're taking a risk, the likely risk that you won't receive any return on your money. But I don't think a lot of angels do it just for a return on money. I think if you do angel investing, it is about just that experience of helping others be successful. And I think that's an invaluable experience, I think.
Absolutely. And for founders or for companies raising money, what's the common mistakes that you've seen in that space?
Lots. I think common mistakes, not returning your emails is number one, or taking 2 weeks to return.
Yeah, but that's quite an important point, actually.
Yes,
because people spend months sometimes on polishing pitch decks and getting the pitch perfect, and actually it's those tiny little details.
It is. You'd be really. I mean, I would always try and treat your investors like your customers, because fundamentally, your investor is constantly thinking, is this a good company to invest in? Is this a good company to put time and energy into? So you've got really fundamental advice about engaging with angels is, obviously, if you get on with them, that's that's an important piece. But if you do, then you really need to spend time and invest in your investors, because the reward that you'll get will be massive. And not only that, you never know when you're going to need them in the future as well. And that always frustrates me, when you invest in a company and you don't hear from them for months, for years, and then they come back to you and say, "Oh, we're running out of money. Are you interested in putting some more money in?" And it's almost like, well, no, I'm not really, because you've shown no interest or seen no value in me as an investor, other than in providing investment. It's more than that. So yeah. And then I guess the other thing I look for is just people's passion, people's determination to succeed. The pitch decks don't need to be perfect. I just need to see people that have a vision and that will do anything to get there. And often than not, the vision they have at the start is never the one they end up with.
Yes.
But it's the determination and the drive to get there, along with a bit of luck and creativity, that is what I look for, that sort of spark, I think. And it's very hard to define. It's really hard to define. And sometimes the companies we've invested in where you think they have the spark haven't. And the ones you think, I'm not sure about this, turn out to be the ones that are the most successful. It's very, very difficult.
Yes, yeah, because I guess you're trying to. It's a bit like interviewing someone in some ways, isn't it?
It is. It really is. It really is. And again, I think that's why being part of a group is very useful as well, because you get multiple views.
Yes,
of the startup.
that's very true. I mean, I've sat in some of the Sheffield Angels pitches thinking this is the best thing since sliced bread.
Yes.
And then 10 minutes later, everybody else chimes in and I realise that actually I've got rose-tinted glasses on.
Absolutely. Yeah. But yeah, my advice to startups would be, treat your investors almost like customers, engage with them, be responsive to them, show them you've got the real passion for what you're doing. And then I think you'll get that in return. And yeah, I'm not looking for fancy decks or anything like that. I'm looking for that little extra spark, that initiative. I want to, connect with you as an investor because I've already made a connection here, or I can see you've done something that, fits with what we're doing. Just that, I don't know, that extra thing looking for, but it's hard to define.
Yeah, I agree. But the deck thing is interesting, right? Because usually if I get people approach me, the first thing they want to say is, will you have a look at my deck?
Yes.
And actually that is, if I nearly everyone I've spoke to who invests, that's not the thing that they're interested in.
No. And we get hundreds of decks, and like Cambridge Angels, they get 3,000 decks a year.
Oh, okay.
And how do you filter that? And the reality is the ones that tend to be more successful is where they built a relationship with one of the angels, where they've shown a willingness to actually engage and to talk to them and to convince them rather than just a deck.
Yes, because I guess by the time you've got to the stage of looking at the deck, you've had a conversation.
Yes.
You probably understand the business.
Exactly. I mean, that's not to say a rubbish deck. You shouldn't send a rubbish deck. It's got to be, simple, well presented. It's like a CV. But you need to show something different than just sending a deck, I think.
Yes. Okay. So we'll kind of fast forward a little bit. So we've startups or founders that have raised investment. When they land that investment, what's the biggest mistake they make with that money, or what's the biggest mistake they make post investment?
Not understanding their customers, I think, is the number one for me. I do see many times people using that money to build a product that actually hasn't got a market. And going back to my experience, you should really use that money to try and find potential customers for the minimally built thing that you can provide, would be my advice. So, and that's where you'll get the real traction, or at least you'll understand whether what you're trying to build is right or not, so that you can pivot quickly. And then I think the other thing I've seen is that maintaining that relationship with customers is absolutely essential. You should never treat, unless it's a really transactional business, you shouldn't treat customers as a transaction. They have so much value to add. And one of the things that we did in Exacting was we built what we called a customer community. And it was a group of customers that really, they were the champions of our product. They wanted to be successful. And we just kept meeting with them regularly and showing them our the roadmap and talking to them about their experiences. And we got so much value out of that. And I think you could build a business just by doing that.
Okay, yeah, today,
Talking to customers, finding out what they want. Obviously, you need to make sure there's a general market for it, building what they want, and then just keep them feeling that they're part of your journey almost. And if you can do that, it's almost not guarantee success, but you're going to achieve some success at whatever level it might be, because you're actually providing people with something that is of value to them. And that to me is the simplest thing to focus on. And why, I think it's very easy to burn your money if you don't do that. So that would be, there's lots of stuff around that, but that fundamentally is solving somebody's problem and maintaining a good relationship with them is fundamental, I think.
Yes. Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think there's so many examples I've seen of businesses that do that very successfully.
Yes.
And like you said, the customers, they want to help. They want to feel special.
Yes.
Be part of that.
Yes, absolutely. Well, one of the startups we invested in is a legal firm, building legal software. And the best thing that they've done is effectively just to go and speak to loads and loads of solicitors and lawyers and find out where their pain points were. And you'd just be surprised how helpful people want to be.
Yes.
If there's a problem.
Yeah.
I mean, these are really busy people, time is money, but yet they're willing to tell you what the problem is. And it's not easy, you've got to find a way in, but the value of that is immense. It's absolutely immense. So yeah.
And how do you find a way in? Because I think a lot of people struggle with this. They struggle with the concept that they could speak to a customer.
There's always somebody in your network. It might be a friend of a friend, might be a family friend. There's always somebody that you can say. And again, when you're approached by somebody who says, "Oh, I know Auntie Dot,"
yeah,
would you have a chat with me? You will, won't you?
Yeah,
because you have that connection.
Yeah.
So it's there's always a connection you can find somehow.
And what's your view on talking about your idea? Because I hear people say, "I've got an idea, but I can't tell anyone what it is."
Yes. No, I think ideas are easy. Actually executing them is the harder thing. So, I mean, if it's obviously a patentable scientific discovery, biochemical discovery that is so obviously essential to protect, then yeah. But on the whole, certainly in the software sector, it's all about delivery and speed of delivery rather than actually having great idea, because lots of people have great ideas. It's about actually making those ideas work in practice, I think.
Yes. And do you have an investment philosophy, or is there any criteria? Like, how do you go about making decision whether to invest in a business or not?
Yeah, I mean, we did spend a lot of time looking at ways to do due diligence on cash flows and all this sort of thing. But we realized it boiled down to the founders, I think, and their character, their personality, how they engage with us, the relationship they built. I think that's an awful lot of it, actually. And I think at that stage, it's very difficult to do anything else.
Yes.
Because there's very little in the way of track record. You can't look at their numbers because there aren't any.
Yeah. All the numbers are always straight up.
Yeah. You can look at their expertise. I mean, that's very important.
Yes.
Their background, it might be knowledge or their experiences. So you could base it a bit on that. But generally, it's how well do they engage with us. and do they show initiative and drive?
And that belief, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So you're in an elevator. You've got 30 seconds to tell this potential founder what they should do, or give them some advice around raising investment. What would you say in that 30 seconds, or even 10 seconds?
Yeah, and as I said earlier, engage with your investors, treat them like customers.
Yeah.
Build a relationship. Use your network to find customers for your solution and validate your solution. And don't spend a lot of money doing it.
Yes, I think that's a good point, isn't it? Don't spend a lot of money. Yeah. There's lots of people end up talking about their Series A, B, C, D before they've even raised their angel round.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that, I don't know. I mean, we essentially built the business. We'd spent a lot of our investment money doing the wrong thing, as I said earlier. Yeah, just think, do you really need to spend all that money to grow the business? And I do think you should be looking at VC only when you're getting so much pull for your product that you know that you couldn't possibly grow it as fast as you need to grow it without that additional money to make it happen. So, for example, I don't know, let's say you realize you could got huge potential in the US, but unless you set up a US team or division, you're not going to be able to achieve that. That's where the VC money is valuable. Or if you've got to, I don't know, build something that, invest in something that's allowing you to then meet that needs of that market, that's when you need investment. But don't just get investment just to keep the lights on. Absolutely. I think that's the key thing there.
And the difference there between business angel money and VC or venture capital money, a lot of people don't necessarily understand the difference. They just see it as money.
Yes.
But there is a difference.
Yeah, there's a big difference. I mean, VC is much more formal. The terms will be much more onerous. The process will be much longer. And they are looking for businesses with significant track record already. They're almost looking for sure bets in a way. You've proven your business model. You've proven you've got product market fit. They can see the accelerated growth. And the money they're going to invest is going to enhance that growth. So it's a much more complicated process. And I think you'd be surprised, VCs don't actually invest in that many businesses. They only invest in ones that they have really high confidence in. They almost don't need the money, really. Whereas business angels are perfect for very early stage. Just that little bit of cash investment just to get you off the ground, to get the fundamentals in place. They're much more agile. They can move much faster, and they can provide you with a lot better support, I think, in those early days, because they are experienced entrepreneurs themselves in general. Whereas VCs, not being negative, but they're generally run by people that are much more bureaucratic, less involved in day-to-day running a business, but are used to growth, to accelerating growth. So I think angels are fundamental, to helping small businesses get off the ground. Definitely.
Yes. Yeah. And angels that, like you said, have been there and done it.
Yes.
There is not a textbook of how to get a business off the ground.
No.
And there is, and there are.
Yeah.
They're all wrong.
They're all wrong. Yes. And interestingly, obviously with AI at the moment, they're not AI is not a replacement for a business angel, but there's an awful lot of context you can provide AI with these days and get some reasonably sensible feedback as well. So there is another dimension to help you keep those costs down as well that way. So
yes. Yeah. Okay. Good. Well, topic we've not spoke about, maybe the last thing we'll talk about. You mentioned at the start you're a children's author.
Yes. Yeah, I'm not sure. Crazy, really. Yeah, I just love creating things. My background's always been, I love reading. And I've got 2 amazing grandchildren and just wanted to write something for them, and ended up writing a book about earwigs called The Little Adventures of Eric the Earwig. And interestingly, selling children's books and marketing children's books is about 100 times harder than doing a startup. So, so that has been another, and I've done it for the experience. It's doing quite well. And all the sort of learning about what your customers want,
Yes.
age 6 to 8 in this case. What the, is there a market for it? How do you distribute it? Who do you network with to do that? Again, all fundamentals of selling almost any product. This one just happens to be about earwigs. So,
Yeah.
but still exciting to do, and really interesting as well.
And there's like you said, the similarities there, whether it's risk management software or children's books.
Yeah, it's exactly the same. Exactly the same, but a bit more fun.
Absolutely. Great. Well, thanks for joining us, Andy.
Thank you.
Great to have a conversation with you, and I'm sure there's lots of learnings there that people can.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for having me.
Cheers. I'm Ashley Tate. You've been listening to Founders Unfiltered, What It Takes. If you like what you've heard, give us a follow.